Right now, you're studying English, but have you ever asked the question, is it really important for me to know two languages? Hey everyone, welcome back to another bilingual is a person that speaks two languages, trilingual is a person that speaks three languages, person that speaks one languages, American kind of episode. Ooh, that was a long one. We're the hosts. My name's MJ.
My name is Adam.
And we invite you to the MJ and Adam show, where you become the third friend in this natural English conversation to pick up some new words, new phrases, but the most important part, get that feeling of English, because it's not something you can find in a textbook. Today's topic, everyone, is a very important question for, I think, many of you watching right now. Yes, you. The question is it important to learn a second language? Actually, what are you talking about, MJ? We've been watching your awesome videos for such a long time, improving our English listening skills, but now you're saying maybe we don't need to?
I don't get it.
So confused. But it's just an interesting kind of question I would like to discuss with Adam and all of you, everyone, of if you are living in your home country and you can speak your language, what's the point of learning another language? Especially in Japan, where it's a homogenous country, meaning that everyone's Japanese, but is it really important to speak another language? When are you going to use it?
Yeah.
And even for me and Adam learning Japanese, you know, what other country speaks Japanese? Where else could this skill be useful? Nowhere. Nowhere. But we still do it. So let's ask the question to Adam really quickly. Adam, why did you learn Japanese, and what did you think the importance of learning it is?
Why did I learn Japanese? I learned Japanese because I wanted to understand the pop culture from the source. And what that means is I wanted to watch, for example, anime without subtitles. Why would I want to watch anime without subtitles? One time somebody told me that the original is always the best, because when they create dub-overs, which is when they change the voice to another language, they always cut stuff out. So my favorite anime is Dragon Ball. And when they made the American Western version, they would cut out parts and pieces of the story that either weren't good for the American market or might have been too difficult to translate. So what you get eventually is a show that's geared towards people who don't speak the language, and it's missing different elements of the story. I didn't want that. I wanted the total experience of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, and I wanted to watch it. And the only way I could watch it fully was to understand the language. And to understand the language means I don't need to use subtitles, which makes the overall experience, more enjoyable, I felt. So that's what motivated me to learn Japanese in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like that, just being able to understand something as it is, as it came out of the mouth, you know, in that language, is much better than having somebody kind of explain it to me piece by piece as it's happening in front of my face, I feel.
Okay.
Which is, that's why I want to learn Japanese. I wanted to learn Japanese to experience Japanese culture raw and uncut.
Raw. Okay. So that is something that like really helps you out. But then, there's other countries that will really have a close connection with a second language. Example, in the U.S., the national second language is Spanish.
Right. Yeah.
In Canada, it is
French or Quebecois.
So you would think,
right,
me being American, I would maybe have a tendency to want to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, why is it important? Because it's a second language, because there's so many Spanish speakers in the US that it would be more helpful to learn Spanish than say Japonese, right? So where it really doesn't feel like it would help me out. Like if you were to look at it like logistically.
Right. Realistically. Rationally.
Realistically. Yeah. Now that I'm living in Japan, it's important to learn that language. MJ, you could just stop speaking English because you're in Japan.
Right.
it's not going to help. Maybe it's going to help you out a little bit, but overall, you should be focusing on Japanese.
Right.
So then in Japan, the secondary language is English. So it makes sense that people are really into studying English. I think it is one of the main countries around the world that has such a big market for people who study English, who want to continue their studies, who want to get better with English. And there's just so many people. But it's like, why?
For the most part, I think people who are getting better at English are the ones who want to travel and see the world in different places. And it's like the big thing back in the day, 7 or 8 or 9 years ago, was that, English is the main language that translates across the world. I do this because even still, not everybody, the universal language. But not everybody speaks English. I mean, there are many countries where people speak English and it's understood as the universal language, but like in any rural area of any non-English speaking country, people probably don't speak English. Like, you're just talking about major cities. If you go to, for example, like India, Madrid, all of those, like major cities, not India is the whole country, but a major place, Mumbai in India, they'll probably have more English speakers than some place on the outskirts of India. So
right.
People, I guess, want to travel to those places and see the sights and sounds and have that ease of understanding what's happening without having to worry about what is everybody talking about. If you're sitting in a restaurant and you want to try some local cuisine, if the menu's not in English and you speak English and you don't speak any other language other than the one you're from, it's a lot more harder to get that food that you want or know what it is. I guess.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. And I think there's also just like a sense of being more, like you're saying, right? People who want to travel, being more worldly. If you are someone who can speak another language, at least like even a little bit, I think is a really kind of positive thing in your repertoire of skills, what you have to offer the world, or just things that can help you out personally. And being able to speak a language is kind of like a thing you could be like, oh, hey, when you're filling out the forms on that dating app or something, you speak another. Hey, I speak another language. I do.
It does.
Maybe that's another one. People want to look for romance.
Maybe in different places, they're tired of their native areas.
So you say you practice a second language.
Yeah. Work is another good reason why people want to learn a second language. The world is technically, quote unquote, getting smaller as well. So I feel that, like, especially for people who work in international companies or companies that are looking to become more global, expand, then it's very beneficial if you want to like move up in your company to learn English, I guess, or whatever language your company is dealing with.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, if I know like aviation, all pilots need to speak English.
Yeah.
And all of the staff on the airplane, I'm sure, have a grip of a second language. I think all of them actually speak 2 languages.
I think so. I think whatever it feels. Well, I've only been to a couple countries, to be honest, but it feels like if you're traveling internationally, the flight attendants, the staff on board, and the pilot, they all speak the languages that they're flying. Of the countries that they're
where
flying
you left,
to.
Yes, and the language that you
arrive
to.
in, or there's like a co-pilot who can speak one language, and then the pilot speaks the other language. So somebody's doing the announcements; they do bilingual. When you go from Japan to Canada, like in the Japanese airport, they'll speak Japanese, English, and French. And landing, I think they do the same thing.
So there you go. There's a big industry right there. And as the world is like expanding, like business wise, with all the internet, everyone being able to connect a lot easier, there's more and more chances of, B2B businesses working together. But if there's a problem with speech, being able to communicate, that can really build a barrier. So I feel like that's like the number one thing.
Right.
I would probably say business is the biggest reason to learn a second language. And then travel
hobbies as well.
I mean, what do you think?
I might say the opposite. I might say like hobby first and then business second. Because depends on the business as well.
Ooh.
But in many cases, they just hire like a translator or somebody who can speak the language and kind of lead the staff along.
Yeah.
Within companies, I feel it does matter if you can speak another language, because it gives you like a boost up in your company. But if you're just starting out, it might be not as much. So I feel travel hobbyists like me who wanted to just understand the language raw and uncut.
Hear the real Goku.
Hear the real Goku, real Kamehameha. And then it's business, but it might switch. And especially for Japan, I feel like now that the borders are open and like a large, I can't tell you the amount of people who have told me they want to go to Japan. In my workplace, so many people say they love like anime and stuff like that. They want to go to Japan. People I talk to on the street, they want to go to Japan. So they're not as enthusiastic or like excited about learning the language, but they want to see the country. And for those people especially, like people who just want to see a country but they're not interested in the language, it's one more thing why learning languages is so important. Because if the other person can't speak the language but you can speak a kind of universal language, or you can speak their language, it'll make their experience so much better.
And I think just smooth, again,
just
go
smooth,
back to what you're saying.
Borderless.
Being able to hear it, hear it raw, take it in, understand it, and be able to communicate back so that they understand. Even if it's not 100% perfect, communication is still a tool that you can use that is better than zero. It's better than trying to just do full on like body gesture of where people might just give up and be like, I don't know. We got to find somebody who can speak whatever language. So having the skill of speaking a language, even with all these new
translation apps and stuff,
translation things,
devices.
They're okay. Yeah. But if you really want to get into learning about more of the people, more of the culture of the languages, you got to learn it.
Yeah.
You got to study. Yeah. You got to speak it. You got to have fun with it
and understand. It's like the first step into understanding anyone's culture is through the language. So we might be closer to peace if we all learn a little bit of languages. I don't know.
Hey, if you want to get closer to learning more of this English language, I do online lessons. Check out the website, Ago with MJ, doing online lessons with anyone who wants to improve their conversation skill, have some questions, or just want to be more comfortable speaking in English. Because I know a lot of people know English, but have they used their English? Check out the website.
Yeah.
That's it for this one. Let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about this? Why is learning English important for you? Subscribe and like the video.
Yep. Well, that's it. We'll see you on the next step.